Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Haris, the general partner of Sigma School.
And my name is Derek, the founder of Sigma School. Today, we're tackling a big question. Should you be a developer or a technopreneur? In this video, we're going to explore the key differences, the necessary skills, as well as the potential pathways to success in both roles.
So if you're considering a career in the tech industry, stay tuned for some valuable insights. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our content. Before we begin, let's talk about what is a developer. So maybe I can start off because I used to be a software developer professionally. I used to be a psychology student, and then I went through a coding bootcamp and I managed to get myself and land a software developer role, right? And for a software developer, in my experience, I was working in a startup, is basically making your ideas and design into code. So Derek, do you feel the same way as what a developer is?
I think fundamentally a developer is someone who develops code, right? Someone who solves problems. So I've been in the tech industry for the past 4 years now, and I've interviewed and I've worked with hundreds of developers, today. And I've met great developers, not so good developers, average developers, but I think pretty much everyone falls within the spectrum of what a developer does. Is pretty much the same.
So I guess in a sense, we are pushing out code to make a feature. So a feature might be creating a button or creating a new screen. So I think we already have a sense of what a developer is.
A developer is like a translator, someone who translates business requirements into technical requirements. When a business guy says, I need a button, the business guy doesn't know how to speak to a computer, right? The developer is the one that makes it happen.
The language of the developer itself is very different from a normal human language. So we require a developer to translate for us the ideas and requirements that we have into code. So now we have an idea of what a developer is, right? To translate ideas and human language into computer language or code. Now let's talk a bit about like tech entrepreneur. So I think Derek, you have a lot of experience in this. Why don't you take it away?
I think tech entrepreneur, a lot of people confuse between the two things. Should a tech entrepreneur be someone who's able to code? And the answer is no. A tech entrepreneur is someone doing business, adding value, creating impact, disrupting the space within the tech industry. This person may or may not be a developer. It doesn't matter, as long as this person has the means to use technology to solve real world problems.
What do you define as technology? Is it code, no code or low code software to build a product?
It has to be software. At the end of the day, it needs to be some form of software to be defined as tech. But does it need to be code? That's something to be debated upon, in my opinion. If you're able to solve a problem with software, regardless if you use Excel, Airtable, JavaScript, Python, it does not matter. As long as it works well, then it does the job. Haris, I just wanted to raise on one point. Why do people always think that developers make great technopreneurs?
So I guess it is also tied into the next point, which is the skill sets and traits of a developer versus a tech entrepreneur. The main skill that a developer has is to translate whatever ideas you have into code. But does that mean that the idea or the thing that you're building is going to be successful? And
right.
then versus a tech entrepreneur, where like you say, the main idea is to build something, right? Whether it is code, low code, no code, doesn't matter, right? You build something in order for you to eventually be successful in terms of money. The first stage of a developer versus a tech entrepreneur is very different. A developer has the skills to build a product, but they believe internally this is the best product. For entrepreneur or the successful ones, they actually find out what problem is out there and actually sieve out what is the common problem that has not been solved better or effectively or in a new way. So that's my thoughts.
I think this is also why there's a huge misconception in terms of why people think that developers make great technopreneurs and by tech entrepreneurs. A developer has that ability. A developer has that skill. You can, with your own two hands, you can do anything you want. It's your skill to pivot and understand your users' problems and solve it accordingly.
What do you think are the other skills for developers out there, right, who wants to become a successful tech entrepreneur?
I would say you need to learn how to speak to your customers. You need to hear. You need to speak to your users and understand, Mr. User, is this solution solving your problem? Would you use it? How much will you pay for it? You need to answer these questions first. And only when you answer these questions, you think of a way to solve them with or without code.
Exactly. So I think there is a lot of ways to ask, the customers what their problems are. So I think a lot of developers don't want to because they are afraid. So what about being a developer yourself, what do you think is like a path to success in terms of being a developer?
Being a developer is fundamentally very different from being a tech entrepreneur, because being a developer, the very base of what you need to do as a developer is writing out code that solves customers' needs whenever the business guy comes back with requirements. That's why running a startup is not as simple as just building and launching. There's a lot of times where you need to speak to customers to even know what to build. The people who you are thinking will be using your app. The developer needs to build what's required by the company. And that's it. Every single day, you're just trying to build better, cheaper, faster.
I do agree that developer, you don't really need to do the other stuff. We in Sigma School have our own free resources to help you get started. It's called Explorer Lab. So that is where you can, start, being a developer, start exploring what the tech industry is. But do you think, Derek, that if you want to start out as a tech entrepreneur, what is like the best way to start?
For a technopreneur or just any business people in general, you generally go in without any hard skills. You go in with people skills, closing deals. How much does a company value someone who's able to, find out users' problems and all that? I don't know, right? But it is a skill, but not so much of a technical hard skill that may be harder for you to get a job if you do fail.
But being a successful tech entrepreneur who actually makes money, it has a higher risk, and you could actually lose more money at pursuing it. So the risks making a lot of money, of course, is higher in the entrepreneur side, but it is not a guarantee that you will make a lot of money. You might actually lose money as well.
Let's put it this way: for the chances of you building a successful company running on its own is like less than 10%. Right? If you could look at market numbers, but the chances of you becoming a developer is a lot higher as long as you don't give up.
So maybe we can share a little bit of our success stories of both in being a developer and tech entrepreneur.
The first small success that I celebrated in the past was being able to coach computer science students on how to code. So I had this friend who actually graduated from one of the Malaysian universities. I'm not going to name it. He did his finals. He actually got a first-class degree, first-class honors, right? But when he went to apply for a job, he had a interview question that requires him to solve some basic algorithm challenges, similar to the ones that you see on LeetCode or FreeCodeCamp, that kind of thing. So he couldn't solve it, and he came to me, and I actually solved it on the fly for him. That's my first success story. My second success story was when I started closing projects. That gave me confidence. I then started going out, getting projects, building small things here and there for people, just exploring on how to do it myself. And from there, I started closing projects from 10K to 50K to 100K in ringgit. My next success story, I started school and implement what I did with my computer science friends when I taught them last time. I'm happy to say that we've had quite a few students who got internships and jobs in tech jobs, completely pivoted from, let's say a teacher to a developer, an accountant to a developer. We have so many success stories from lawyer to a developer. You don't need to come from a technical, mathematical background to become a developer.
Derek, how then you decide which path is right for you? Being an entrepreneur and then be a developer, or be a developer, be an entrepreneur?
So I started off as a developer. I was learning myself for, like I mentioned, 8 to 9 months. Then I realized that I've always wanted to do business as well. The thing was 9 months in, when I saw that my skill sets were great, and I saw that there was huge gap in the market, and also when I saw that I was able to complement my lifestyle with somewhat of a fresh grad salary. I left my job offer of around 4 to 5K to do this. So my goal immediately back then was, how can I just generate 4K, 5K per month for myself? How can I do that? Or just aiming for that. Today, looking back in hindsight, that's not the right way to do business, because to do business, you have to think of scale, think of bigger things. You need to decide what is the kind of life you want to live. If you want to live a life where you can control everything you do, if you have a tech idea that you feel you can build, you should be a tech entrepreneur. So it's a lot of factors combined, but stress of all these legal headaches, accounting headaches, operational headaches, like all these little things, office admin headaches. So there's so many things. Paying electric bills, all these small little things that a lot of people don't see, right? You don't have the funds to hire a PA. You got to do everything yourself. Right. So if you want to just focus on software and forget all these sales, marketing, operational things, just focus on software and be very good at software.
I would say that for me, it depends on what stage of life you are in. I'm happier not earning enough money. And it has been 4 years, and I'm happier than I was being an employee itself. Second, the most important thing is to know yourself. Whether you're a uni student, just graduated, whether you're in a job, right? I believe you should take a personality test. I had that personality test before joining my full-time job. I'll be able to realize that what I should do. You should suit what you are good at and align to the job that fits you very well. In the end, this is from my experience. I can earn very little money, but I'm very happy at what I'm doing.
I think fundamentally is this: do what makes you happy, regardless of if it's getting a job or doing business. And when it comes to business, the idea of it sounds nice because both Haris and I were in business. So obviously we're a bit more leaning towards the business side, but realities of being a startup founder is actually not easy. It's actually extremely difficult. And the only way is to try it out. I would say when it comes to being a developer or a tech entrepreneur, the question I would ask myself is, why not both? Why not both? You can do both. To learn up to code to a good enough level, that takes you around 4 to 6 months. Just go ahead and do it. Once you've done it, then try your own hands in tech entrepreneurship. Become a developer first in 6 months, then start doing business for 6 months, and then decide. There's no harm. It's just 1 year of your life. Go and do it. And worst case scenario, if both don't work out for you, okay, go back to whatever you're doing. But right now, you're a completely different person with a different mindset, different skill set, and different worldview of how the world works.
So I do agree that you can always do both. There isn't a binary choice for you to choose from, right? You can, work at your job that you might not like so much, but also learn along the way, or, create a tech product along the way. And maybe eventually you will be successful. It will still take some time. So if I want to start my business, I wouldn't do after work because it's not the best thing for me, right? So it's always about you, whether you're able to multitask, whether you're able to support yourself financially, that kind of thing. So it really depends. We're not saying, oh yeah, quit whatever and just do, right? We're not that kind of people, right? If you have a job and maybe you have a family that requires you to, feed them, we understand the struggles to actually, start your own business, struggles of being financially
know how scary it gets. There are months where you just have no income and you don't know when it ends. You just don't know when it ends. And all you gotta do is like pray and stuff. But like, of course, there's a framework to fixing this, but that's a conversation for another day. I think Haris, I'm very similar to you in the sense where I am the kind of guy who goes all in on plan A. There's no plan B. Because the moment there's the plan B, you will default to plan B. Because plan B is always the more comfortable path. It's like, okay, if it fails, then okay, it's okay. I have a cushy job, it's fine. Right. So I would say also, same thing. When I was learning in my first year, right, dude, let me tell you something. I was like so stressed out, and I actually applied for jobs quite a few times in my 7-8 months. I actually wasn't fully committed. I was learning this and that, and is coding really for me? I was going through this whole existential crisis, like, what the hell am I doing in my life? I was applying for jobs, I was going for interviews, and I actually did well in some of those interviews. And like so many times, I was so tempted to give up because I'm like, shit, I'm not good enough at code. And this is, I guess, what the final takeaway for this is: whatever, regardless if it's being a developer or being a tech entrepreneur, try your hands to it and commit to it. Don't half-ass it and say, it's okay lah, it's okay if I fail. No, it's not okay. Try your best and do it. And only when you've tried your best and you've really committed for 6 months, magical number of 6 months, then you can decide whether it is for you or not.
It really depends on yourself, your situation. But if you, like I say, if you have a family that supports you and you're able to all in to whatever you want to do, great. Otherwise, then there's always alternatives out there. There is no one right answer. You can always do your research, and hopefully with the advice that we gave you, it gives you a better sense of what the next step for you. It might be, okay, maybe I learn code while I work, or maybe it's like, okay, I have enough funds, my family is okay, I can actually, stop working and, go all in. Either way, it is something that you yourself should decide for yourself, right? Because in life, you are the one who's controlling it, not other people, right? Okay, so let's wrap up with this. I think that we have talked about what the roles are, the different skills, pathways, success stories, and what to decide whether you want to be a developer or tech entrepreneur. So focusing on what you want to do, I think is key, and staying up to date on what's around you, like ChatGPT, will help you decide whether it is the right time for you as well, right? So thank you for listening on this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want more of this video, subscribe down below and comment down what is the next step that you want to do. Or for those who are listening in the audio podcast, maybe you can just write out in your notes what is the next step for you. So with that said, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.